And then Carlton, I just don't trust them.
I'm watching you blush right in front of me. Either way, round that. Producer nearly choked on that comment.
On what? Which leaves our final rankings as Brisbane and Fremantle as the clear top two, and a surprise last spot being...
G'day everyone, welcome back to Zero Access Footy, and the AFL regular season is done and dusted as of last week, and I am once again here with Mr. Bem Getty, otherwise known as the Premiership Quarter, and we are going to discuss all the exciting things regarding the brand new wildcard. It better be good, is what we're basically going to be talking about, and
the AFL's biggest money cash grab.
the biggest cash grab? I think that's what we said when it was first announced.
It is.
Something along those lines. But
yes, sir.
We're going to be talking a hell of a lot in terms of what we think finals will look like, and of course more of the speculation, including one Zak Butters of the Port Adelaide Power, no longer to be. But let's get started with our first topic of today. We've got ourselves a bit to talk about, including the end of season power rankings.
Yep.
I have not prepared for this part too much, but
Neither.
I've got an idea as to where I'm putting my teams as of the end of the season, because of course some teams have really, really shot up the ladder, including one of the finalists who we'll be talking about, and will definitely get you guys a bit off guard in terms of how high we have them. But let's just chat in terms of where we think the best teams, or at least finals teams, are placing themselves, and in what type of form they're placing themselves in for this upcoming final series. So, what are you thinking, Ben?
Well, something I've done the last couple of seasons is essentially like a power rankings of the finalists.
Yeah.
Where I've gone through essentially 5 different aspects of their game plan, their coaching, how good they are as a back line, their midfield, and also their forward line. And essentially rank them against each other and sort of see who comes out on top. Last 2 seasons, the grand final that I got was Brisbane beating Geelong in 2024. Sorry, 2025.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And Brisbane beating Sydney in 2024.
So your system that you've created here, which we've gone through before, and we've got the actual stats and all of it ready to go for this particular segment.
Yep.
Apparently it's perfect.
Hasn't missed yet.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's the big test of this one.
Back history till history changes.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, it's only 2 years of history, but we will get there. Now, we won't go into like the in-depths in terms of how I started this, because I was like super in tune with going like, okay, this backline has to have this, which is why I rank it so highly.
Yeah.
That's completely stupid, and I don't need to do that anymore because I'm not an idiot.
Well, apparently it worked the last 2 times.
It did work, but I don't want to do that anymore, and we want to limit ourselves. So, what we have done before this, because we do prepare, is we've essentially ranked the 10 finalists. We don't want to include the wildcard teams as them, but we kind of have to make this work properly. And we've slightly changed the weighting for them as well. We believe that the midfield and the system are the 2 most impactful metrics to sort of weigh the teams on, because I think nowadays, in terms of the centre bounce scoring is so crucial, especially with how momentum has swung so significantly in games this year. When we think of what Wolfie time has done for Fremantle, that's like, I'm not going to say it's all momentum, but it's like 90% momentum.
Wolfie
and
time
making sure
is
you
the idea
capitalise
that,
on it.
yeah, it's the idea that a certain period of time within a game is going Fremantle's way.
Yeah.
Or they're playing in a way that they prefer.
And we've seen with Brisbane, the amount of goals they concede in a 15-minute stretch is ridiculous, but they'll pile on double that amount. And so it's very much how much can you restrict the opponent when they're in there sort of pushing and they're trying to gain momentum, and how much can you capitalise on your momentum and really push the scoreboard out as far as you can. Through that, the most important part is obviously the midfield, because with the new ruck changes and with 666, it's now so prevalent with scoring directly from stoppage. And so if you're good there, chances are you're going to be a good team. If you're not good from there, looking at Adelaide and looking at the Western Bulldogs, and chances are you're not going to be very good.
Yeah.
Like, you're just not going to be able to, whilst your system can hold up really well, if your midfield ain't going to be able to score, you're not going to be good.
And also, I will point out that a lot of this stuff that we're going to be talking about in here is opinionated more than statistical. I think while you can absolutely point to statistics, and while we do try to base most of our opinions off the statistics in terms of how many points a team may give up, in terms of wins and losses to certain teams, we try to base it off of that type of stuff. But of course, at the end of the day, what we will also try to bring into account is finals experience, and we'll try 100%. To bring into account history, a whole bunch of different things that just this season alone would make you kind of question whether we've got it on the right track. But at the same time, looking further than that allows us to get an idea as to where upsets and potential changes can be made.
As you said, there's level intangibles that we can't really account for.
Yeah.
If you want to, you can go ahead and do it based off of statistics. With us, for example, like the Brisbane backline, they've been dreadful all year. I don't think they've been a top 10 backline for the entirety of the year. However, they also haven't had a fully fit backline. And so now that they have, maybe we rank them slightly higher than what they have been based off of the season sort of thing.
Exactly right.
That's sort of where I think the opinion side comes into it more than just the stats. Stats can tell you 70%, but the understanding and the eye test is the other 30% that really gets you a proper sort of understanding. That's what we've gone through. I mean, is it really important to talk about the order of things? Not overly.
Go through the segments. I think people need to understand exactly where we're getting all of this from. Because as you mentioned, our two most important ones is the midfield and the system. But of course, we go into a lot more than that. So if you want to go ahead and talk about the other ones.
So we'll start off with defense. Obviously, if you can't hold up defensively, odds are you're not going to be able to win a flag. We've seen that consistently, and that's why we talked about Brisbane just now, because the big concern about them this year has been that they haven't been able to hold up defensively, especially when a team gets on a roll, as we saw with GWS. Like, if you can kick 14 goals in a quarter against a team, you're very unlikely to win a flag. But everything else for Brisbane is so elite that it almost counteracts that, as we'll get onto later. But the best defense throughout the entire season, it's inarguable, it is Fremantle.
Yep, they've been fantastic.
And individually, they're not elite. Like, Alex Pearce has been fantastic, but I feel like Brendan Cox has just picked up a calf, so that there's potentially a hole there.
Yeah.
Luke Ryan, not great defensively, but what Heath Chapman does, what Judd McVie, Carl Warner, Jordan Clark rebounding off halfback, that's all elite players and role players and excel in their role. So they're first. Adelaide is second.
Do you want to go to the other subcategories first before we go into explaining all that?
Yeah, so this is when you say subcategories, the bottom?
Yeah, so defence, midfield, system.
So we've got defence, we've got midfield, which we mentioned is worth double. The forward line, the system as well, worth double. And then the coaching as well. Some of this you can't quantify, some of this you can. Just sort of finding the balance is the difficult thing.
Yeah, and you've mentioned defence, a few of the teams there. Let's go top four for each of those, because I think there'll be some interesting ones that people in the comments as well can maybe point out why they think other coaches are argued to be in that top four, or not specifically coaches, I should say, all categories, whether it's midfield, forward, structure, all that type of stuff. But you mentioned defence, the first two. Who was in third?
Hawthorn.
Hawthorn third defensively.
I think they're better aerially than a lot of the teams below them, but the reason they're not above the teams above them is because I think at ground level they're certainly gettable, and I think some of the form of their key defenders as well has been a bit questionable. When you look at the likes of what Barras has done, Sicily somehow makes the All-Australian squad, yet was almost being dropped by some of the Hawthorn fans halfway through the year, which is a bit mind-blowing. And then you look at the bottom three as well, like Western Bulldogs at 10, and Sydney at 9. Obviously, a big thing with Sydney is how aggressive they are with their ball movement, just leaves their backline open. And without Will Edwards as well, who was having a great year, I think it's really hard to see them having anything higher than 9. And then we have gone Melbourne at 8, simply because I just don't trust them defensively. It's very similar with Sydney. They've arguably got slightly better talent, but just their system is so offensively catered, their backline falls out.
Yep.
The midfield. Brisbane midfield is number one for me. It's the most damaging. It is arguably, their ruckmen are arguably guessable, like Draper and Fort, but what they have provided this midfield is so elite.
Well-rounded too. Like you said, Draper has had a pretty decent season so far, and it nicely rounds out a fantastic midfield that they've got, of course, loaded with star power from Lachie Neale and the youngsters who are rising in Will Ashcroft. A bit of that depth too. They can rotate your Zach Baileys, your Cam Rayners in there too. Correct. So they've got a lot they can work with.
There's power, there's damage, there's dirty work, And I think there's a real sort of level of cleanliness that other midfields maybe don't have that just perfectly complements. Fremantle is second, very similar to them. Probably slightly deeper, arguably, than Brisbane, but I think the top end talent maybe hasn't performed consistently throughout the season as much as Brisbane's midfield has.
Yeah.
And then 3, the Western Bulldogs, if Tim English is back.
Yes, Tim English is very important to this.
But when you got Bont, when you got Ed Richards there, like
it does very much help out.
Midfielders.
And on top of that, Libba, if he plays at his best, fingers crossed he stays healthy. He is that in and under type guy who does really round this midfield out quite well.
Yep.
And you just hope that their depth does get a bit better. It's probably why they're probably third compared to those other two, because you go a bit further back, you get maybe Treloar if you're desperate. Riley Sanders is in there.
Sanders, Fraser.
Yeah, Fraser's good.
That's sort of, they have a good mix, but it's a very strong
Not
end.
as deep.
Not as deep. The bottom 3, I feel like, are sort of obvious. Collingwood really don't have a solid midfield. Adelaide don't have a whole lot of damage.
Outside of Dacos.
Yeah, true, outside of Dacos. Adelaide and ninth, simply because, their ruckman can be beat very badly at times in McAndrew, which is first-year ruck, understandable. But I also think with Dawson, he's arguably better used elsewhere. And Rankin's been on a fantastic stretch. It's the first time he's had 30 disposals against a good team as well, which is one of the bigger things. He hasn't even played a final before. And then I've got Geelong at 8 simply because they don't have Max Holmes back yet.
And I don't think he will be coming back, will he?
No, we don't know the timeline for him, which is really difficult.
I think, in hindsight, I would argue between Adelaide and Collingwood because I like Darcy Cameron as a ruckman, on top of the fact that Dacos is in there, of course, best midfielder in the comp. And then they can fill out the others. Of course, it's a lot of youth that they're filling it out with. Like, they've put Ned Long in there, who I liked for a bit, but has fallen off a touch. I think Sam Swadling has done a little bit there.
He's had moments in there, yeah.
Pendlebury can have moments too nowadays. Obviously, he has his negatives where he'll occasionally come off injured really early, just as old age gets there. But, like, I think there's arguments for Adelaide and Collingwood being switched around. They're just, Collingwood is very top-heavy. I think that's the reason why. Much more top-heavy than Adelaide, and they have reasons to switch it around.
I think Adelaide's is a bit more well-balanced. Like, when you look at what Dawson and Rain can do, they're the more damaging.
Yeah.
But then you've got your Saligo and your Berries sort of complementing them a bit better.
Yeah.
But sort of just talking...
That's midfield. People can discuss that as well. People can discuss it.
Yep. We'll sort of go through these a bit quicker. Forward line, Brisbane, Fremantle, Hawthorn are the top 3. Most damage easily.
They've all got 50-goal scorers, multiple for some in some cases. And, of course, you've got just overall fantastic talent down the forward line. It's pretty easy to point out the good forward line teams.
And then the teams at the bottom are sort of a bit injury hit. Obviously, the Bulldogs, no Darcy, really difficult to sort of equate. Non's had to carry a big load. Collingwood, obviously, no Elliott hurts, but even still, their forward line isn't elite by any means. And then Carlton, I just don't trust them. Like, Mackay's such a confidence player, but their leading goal kicker for the year is Mitch McGovern. That doesn't put any fear into me as a defensive unit.
Yeah, I agree with you very much so. But the thing is for both those sides in terms of Collingwood, Carlton, they've shown good positives at certain times, and you hope that maybe they can catch a bit of fire for a moment.
Like what McStay's done recently, have to give credit to it, but again, we're considering the totality of this season.
Exactly right.
System-wise, Brisbane and Fremantle, very obvious. I think they're
1 and 2,
top 2.
100%.
And then we've got a surprise with Collingwood at 3. Just the way that they are coached by McRae, which will lead into our coaching ranking segment as well. But what they've done throughout the year, when they're not arguably a top 10 talented team, to be a top 10 team for this season is insanely impressive.
Yeah. There's arguments for teams like Melbourne. I think especially considering the whole year wide and where their expectations were, the fact that they've turned such a great season in this year due to how their system has been so free-flowing. I think there's arguments for them, but there's plenty more that we would be able to say about all other teams in terms of system. That's why they've made finals. They've adapted and done better. But what are the bottom 3s?
Adelaide. Again, just don't trust their system. Defensively, they're so focused on not allowing teams to move the ball and really suffocate them that they essentially suffocate themselves. And they don't allow their talented forward line to sort of be able to get to work. The Bulldogs, sort of similar in that vein to Adelaide, where they get back so much that they rely a bit on catapulting or scoring from stoppage. But I think Beveridge has a bit more flexibility, and then obviously it's hard to tell with Fraser and a bit of Stephen King as well.
Yeah.
I guess, first-year coaches, basically. Coaching ranks, Geelong 1, Brisbane 2, Fremantle 3.
Yeah.
I think you've got to give credit to what they've done. So it's a bit of credit in the bank and name in that sense.
History very much plays a big part into coaches here.
And then sort of the opposite down at the end, like Matty Nix, straight sets. Those are the only 2 finals he's played. Bulldogs, again, I'm not a fan of Beveridge, so it's just a bit hard to see.
There's the argument that he always provides finals type coaching, but at the same time, we're talking 5 to 8 final side coaching.
It's not a whole lot. And then back to the Fraser King sort of thing, which leaves our final rankings as Brisbane and Fremantle as the clear top 2, and a surprise last spot being Adelaide.
Yes, so our calculations ended up giving us 2.8, which over it all, like you said, we doubled up some of the points. We basically treated it like golf. The lower your score is, the better. Average it out by the 5 sub-categories. And yeah, we got a tie between Freo and Brisbane at 2.8. Obviously, it's not 2.8 average as their top, but double points provided through the coaching, provided through the through the midfield and the system that Freo and Brisbane have created very much helps them out. Of course, along the line, getting the 3 for the coach has also saved them a little bit because Fags is an incredible coach. There's argument for 1 there, so that could squeak him over. But
for sure.
Yeah, 2.8 for both these guys. Of course, like you mentioned, I think... Oh, no, you haven't mentioned the other ones just yet. Would you like to run through the rest of them?
Let's leave it for a little bit. I think let's go for a surprise. Let's go through our finals predictions for the 2026 series.
That's a good idea.
Because there are going to be a couple upsets and a couple very interesting calls here. So we start off with Melbourne. Technically on the Friday night is Bulldogs versus Collingwood. And if you sort of saw, the Bulldogs ended up in the bottom 3 a lot. So they're just sort of very depleted, and they rely a lot on their best 3 players. I think that's fair to say, in Norton, Richards and Bont. If they're not firing, then it's really hard to see. Otherwise, the only way they could beat Collingwood is if that midfield goes crazy, which I'm not saying is impossible. However, I'm not backing it in to happen. I think Collingwood are the better system, they're better coached, and they're going to be able to sort of stop the Bulldogs, and they'll minimise the impact that Bont and Richards will have.
Yeah. So in that scenario, of course, we see the Pies ending up taking that. Of course, a lot of history, I think, is why we are so trustworthy of Collingwood in this scenario. But you can't blame us as well. The fact that they're so top heavy means that Dacos it feels so inevitable to stop that it feels like Dacos will be able to take them over. A side like the Dogs, relying on a lot of youth, and of course the crowd will be packed to the brim with Collingwood fans. But we move to Melbourne Carlton. This one has some nice history behind it too. And
2024.
Yeah, that game was awesome in particular.
The elimination final.
Was it? No, it wasn't.
Semi-final.
Yeah, I was going to say it was the semi because Melbourne went out straight sets that year. But with our predictions, we have determined Carlton take this one.
Form plays a lot of factor in this.
It's very much so.
But you've also got to consider, like, Melbourne don't have Van Rooyen for this, and their forward line without him looks very, very weak.
Yep.
He was having a very good season for 4th year forward, I think it was in the end.
Brody Myercheck. Could you imagine this team with Brody Myercheck as well?
So you just got to look at, the way they play is super awesome to watch, but when they don't have any, like, the top-end talent in that forward line to be able to compete and be able to get the ball to ground where the likes of Harry Sharp and Bailey Laurie can sort of really get to work, it really sort of limits that. And I think for Carlton, with the likes of Wiedering back and Harry Dean, that back line is actually really, really solid. Probably a bit underrated as well. So, and then their midfield as well. I think their midfield, Gawn and Pickett are elite players, absolutely. But what Pitnet has done this year, excellent. What Cripps has got back to, what Hewitt's doing, what Walsh is doing, what Jagger Smith is doing, that 4 as a midfield mix is so much better than Melbourne's.
Yeah. We move on from those and we get to the higher ranked wildcard winner. So Elim 2 we'll start with because Adelaide versus Collingwood is a really interesting scenario we've got here. Adelaide was our least ranked, or our lowest ranked
It
team,
was.
at the Adelaide Oval, we see Collingwood doing it again.
Yeah, it was a rematch of last year's qualifying final.
Yes.
And it's really hard to see anything changing, to be honest. That's the thing. Like, obviously, no Elliott is a thing.
Considering
for
how
Collingwood.
important structure is to both these
Yeah.
sides, in terms of how good it is for one, how bad it can be for another, it's honestly a nightmare matchup again for Adelaide. They're going to need
Absolutely.
Rankin to continue his fantastic form in his first final.
Yeah, and I think when you got to consider if Collingwood would love to play against Adelaide, I feel, because the way they rely on the contest down the line stuff, and they're not as good as Fremantle is doing it, Collingwood would be eating that up. And I think when you consider that they'd be able to turn the ball over and really get back at what Adelaide did, don't forget, Collingwood beat Adelaide earlier this year in Adelaide. Like, they were able to do it there once. What would stop them from doing it again?
Yep.
Our rankings show that. And I think that's really, really crucial for Adelaide because they just don't have the damage. And they don't play in a way where they can sort of adjust to that, where if they don't have the damage, you create that, like sort of what Melbourne do. They don't play that way at all.
We move to the next elimination final now, and of course, it is the Blues with the upset on the D's, but this Cats versus Blues one, honestly, is really exciting. Again, another
100%.
scenario, your last game that happened between these guys was, the start of all of this craziness for Carlton and the Josh Fraser mania. But of course, we've got Geelong ranked really high.
We'll get into that for next round of the finals. But yes, we do. And I think even that game, Geelong probably should have won when you consider what the Dempsey goal. Like, Geelong should have won that game. So, yes, Carlton did win in the end, and that's all that matters. There's an argument that Carlton played the G a lot better than what Geelong do. And I think in the recent history that shows between these two in the matches that they've played against each other. It is really hard to look past Geelong, though, and I just think their system would shine so hard in this, which is what got them essentially in the end. And I do think that they beat Carlton, regardless, to be honest, in the final.
Yeah, and I tend to agree. Moving on, of course, first week of qualifying finals now. We get to see the top four sides play each other.
Yep.
Fremantle and Hawthorn in qualifying number one. We're very high on Fremantle this year, as we mentioned, being tied top side with Brisbane. Anything different here?
No, especially with home ground advantage. It would take a miracle, I think, for Hawthorn to get up. Did I jinx them? Who knows? We'll have to find out. But yeah, Fremantle looked pretty solid. And then qualifying two, Brisbane against Sydney. Give credit to Sydney for what they were able to do against North Melbourne. But against Brisbane, it's a completely different story. Season's not over, though. And they still have another home game. But Brisbane solidified themselves another prelim final.
So that's a home prelim too, again for Brisbane.
Yep.
And we move on to semi-final number one. So we've got ourselves Hawthorn playing at the MCG against Geelong. That's huge.
So our rankings spat out Brisbane first and tied with Fremantle. Spat out Geelong second with Hawthorn
literally
behind
just
them.
under them.
One ranking different and they'd be equal.
Yeah. So this is as even as it gets, I feel like, for both sides.
Absolutely. This is an incredible game. And what we saw last year between these two games was Dangerfield in the prelim having one of his greatest finals games of all time. So stuff like that can happen. Will Day in this team, potentially no Max Holmes in this Geelong team, stuff like that can change. But based off of our rankings, Geelong get through.
Just
ever so slightly.
And I really hope that's the case. This will be an all-time classic. They always seem to be between Geelong and Hawthorn. They always are. 100%. See whether the Kennett curse lives once again. But we move to semi-final number two, of course. This is Sydney hosting the winner of that Collingwood. Oh, man. Collingwood in another prelim final would be nuts. It's a shame we don't have it, though.
No. Sydney, even without the Pullman 5. Get it done.
No.
Sydney were ranked 5th in our rankings. Collingwood were ranked 6th. There was a full 5 spots difference overall.
Sorry, I'm still trying to recover from that comment. Oh, Jesus Christ.
So,
but yeah, Sydney, take it. That would be a really interesting surprise because everyone believes these guys are just a dead horse in the middle of the final series. But if they manage to pick off any team, realistically, in the final, could you imagine they somehow pick off Brisbane and get a home prelim?
That would be incredible.
There's a world where it happens, but I feel it's very unlikely.
I'd find it so hard to believe.
Yeah.
Great season from Collingwood, but it ends at the hands of Sydney. And to be honest, I could see that happening. I really could.
Yeah.
And so far, we've had a few upsets here and there, but for the most part, like, if you look at what the prelims have ended up being, it's Fremantle, Sydney, Brisbane, Geelong.
Yeah.
That's like almost what is expected, or what would have been expected more than a week ago, at the bare minimum.
Let's move to the prelims.
We will go through the prelims. Fremantle beat Sydney. Like,
yeah,
it's sort of like what Port Adelaide did a couple years ago in 2024. Just got whacked by Geelong in the qualifying.
Yeah.
Somehow beat Hawthorn at semi-final, and then just lose to Sydney.
Get pumped in the next week because it's just a week of survival is what it feels like for Sydney.
Much.
Yeah, Fremantle, they're just in too much good form. I'm trying to think, could experience maybe outdo them, but I think there's too many factors going against Sydney in that one. And of course, our system says otherwise. So we're going to go Freo, take the first spot in the grand final. And then, of course, it's Brisbane versus Geelong.
Correct. Up at the Gabba this time, not at the G like we saw twice last year.
Oh man, that would just be a nice scenario to see play out. I mean, I know these guys have become a mainstay for a finals game now, but like in a new environment, could be really interesting to see how both teams react. Whether one gets too comfortable or one plays with a bit more fight, I don't know. We'll wait and see. But we've also had the system. Brisbane and Freo, they were outright the best with our system outcome, so they take this one against Geelong in the scenario that is most likely favoured for them, which means our grand final is Freo versus Brisbane. But like we had mentioned before, these two are tied. They are tied through our system.
Correct.
Where do we go here? Where do we put the importance?
Intangibles. Yep. It's the intangibles. It's the home ground factor. It's the finals experience. It's the understanding of the moment, which sort of ties into a bit of the finals experience. But it's just those little things that I feel like Brisbane's class and their understanding of the moment, given what's happened in the last 2 years, sees them over the line. And to be fair, we've been on a Brisbane Fremantle grand final for most of the year.
Yeah, I was on the Sydney train before everything that happened because Sydney were playing a style that was really good. But of course, that's changed now. And Brisbane feel more than inevitable now because I'll give you a lot of credit because you never actually said, I no longer trust Brisbane. You definitely said it's getting harder, especially after the GWS game. But this team feels inevitable, very much so at this point. Oh, man, I've got to go Brisbane. There's too many things saying Brisbane. There's too many things saying Brisbane three-peat. I'm so certain of it.
Brisbane three-peat champions for the second time in 25 years.
Yeah. It's a whole new...
I feel dreadful saying that. That sounds like...
How have they done it, though? Because
I know, it's
remember the mid-years, like the 2010 era with Brisbane until like the late end where they finally started to pick it back up again. I never understood the early 2000s dynasty team. I always knew Brisbane as a bad football team. It goes to show you like how crazy it is that they've managed to turn the team around into the exact same dominant force they were in the early 2000s. In a similar scenario, except just a bit backwards. They lost their first grand final. Brisbane lost their last grand final. So if this is the way that it ends this year with a grand final win, because of course we can talk about a few of their trade speculations in the off-season, but Brisbane, we believe, are three-peating it this year. Unbelievable season from them in general. But again, through this system, I very much agree with the outcome at the very least that it's given us. I think the outcome that it's given us...
I have no quarrels with it. Like, a couple upsets...
I'm a little interested with the Adelaide one.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, they play Collingwood. That's not an easy game.
Yeah, it isn't.
That's a game where they would suffocate. And, like...
There's reasons to follow through with it.
Like if the Bulldogs beat them, then they'd then play the Bulldogs, which would be a much easier game. But they don't play the Bulldogs; they play Collingwood, and it's just difficult. game, and it's just like,
Yeah, well, look, I think we'll finish up there for our final series predictions because we still have a lot more we want to talk about. But let us know, of course, in the comments again what you guys are thinking regarding our finals predictions. But we've got the AA squad reaction. My opinion can simply come down to the fact that how did Harry Sheasel not get a squad selection? I'm glad LDU did. I'm glad North didn't get anyone.
I can do the same.
Yeah, your Max Hall snub, I guess you would say. I think Harry Sheasel, though. I think Harry Sheasel's is worse. Statistically speaking.
I think Sheasel's is worse when you consider who made it from his own team above him.
That's
the argument that I think you can consider for it.
100%. I mean, he has been basically elite in all statistics. He leads the league in certain statistics in disposal measures, at least. So that, at least, I thought would get him the squad selection. I wasn't overly confident with the actual 23, but I'm not going to spend too much time getting angry at the AA squad and North Melbourne in particular. Let's look at the entire squad because there's some interesting things in there. Most importantly, of course, is the fact that a bunch of our early season predictions have come true.
Let's give ourselves
in a crazy way. I cannot believe how well some of us went. In terms of early season, I remember Charlie Cameron.
Yeah.
Murphy Reid was another one. I think I said Nick Watson too, and he ended up having a 50-goal season.
Yep.
So, like, there's so much that I can't believe we managed to turn into fantastic predictions in this one. So
we did good.
The AA squad. Let me get it. Let me get it up here. I think the teams who didn't have any picks at all.
Essendon and West Coast.
And Richmond.
Yep,
so 3 teams with no selections. Of course, there's some in there that we had completely forgotten and completely missed throughout the season.
Charlie Curnow.
Charlie Curnow is the prime example. He ended up last. I think we did a mid-season AA prediction, and at that time it was Ben King and Jack Gunston at the top. Curnow was not in that top caliber.
I also didn't have Harris Andrews in my mid-year team, simply because of the fact that Brisbane sucked defensively.
Yeah,
and I felt like he was being found out a little bit.
Yeah,
but his back end of the year has been excellent.
Yeah. Another interesting thing, Will Ashcroft has never had an All-Australian before. Did you know that?
I did know that.
Yeah, well, funny enough, 2-time Norm Smith medalist, never All-Australian, has finally been picked into an AA squad. We'll have to wait and see whether he gets himself into the team. The likelihood, I don't know, but I think the big story about this one right now is the fact that Fremantle have 8 players in the AA squad.
And to be honest, you could make just a full forward line of Fremantle players. You could have Amos and Tracy with Jackson as your sort of backup ruck.
Yeah.
Then you can have Bolton and Murphy Reid as your half forward.
And we'll have to wait and see whether that ends up being. But of course, considering Curnow got the Coleman, I'd imagine he takes up a spot where one of those guys
Probably
could be.
Amos.
Gunston, I feel like, will take a spot. Watson will sneak one in there.
I don't think Gunston does. I don't think Gunston makes the team. I feel like it'd be Tracy, Curnow, and then a backup ruck. I don't think they go with Gunston.
That'd be interesting. That'd be very interesting. I think considering how good Gunston's year has been, it would definitely be harsh to keep him out. But that's the likelihood of the AA squad. Some fun names in there too. Connor O'Sullivan. You were so high on him end of last year. He's an AA squad member now. How would you feel if you made the actual team? How likely is it? Because I believe he's a replacement player for a player who originally should have been in this team. I think so. I'm looking around.
I disagree.
Maybe Harris Andrews and Alira Lee.
I think James Sicily is the replacement.
That's right, Sicily.
For one of the players because he simply was not good enough.
You don't feel so?
No. I mean, if I wanted to go through and really say who the 3 that I think were the replacements, it's LDU, it's James Sicily, and it's another midfielder. It's probably Jason Horne-Francis?
Maybe Horne-Francis. I don't know.
I'd say.
Josh Dacos was pretty good this year. I don't want to say that
Other
he's a
than
replacement.
that, I might go Murphy Reid.
I don't know. Bodie Euland?
Nah, Bodie Euland has been excellent.
Yeah. Lockie
I
Ash.
had him in my halfway through season All-Australian
He
team.
was another one
too. I had Jarmy Impin in there.
Who?
Jarmy Impin.
Jarmy Impin. Oh, man. Look, I think AA overall is always so much fun to have a little look at because, of course, there's a bunch of snubs. So many players had so many good seasons. And there'll be plenty of people who will talk about come the official selection tomorrow. Tonight even for the 23. So by the time you see this, the official team will be announced very, very soon.
I really want to spoil some things, but I've got an embargo on me and I can't.
Oh, you know a little bit, do you? Unlucky. You don't want to leak it? Come on. I thought Zero Access Footy had no access.
Yeah, that's why I'm not spoiling anything.
All right, well, that's okay. Either way, we will stick with what we've got here. But congratulations to all the AA selections. And we'll have to wait and see what the team looks like. Oh, man, imagine LDU makes the team.
That would be wild. Given he wasn't even the best midfielder on his team.
I know. How did Sheasel not make it? I'm going to have a sook about that for a long, long time, I reckon. Let's move on, though. We've got a bit of trade speculation to look at. Ben Gaddy's deal or no deal makes a little cameo. All right.
I feel special today.
I know. I'm watching you blush right in front of me. Either way, round that. Producer nearly choked on that comment.
On what? On what?
On the comment. Either way, Zak Butters, he's trying to move you on. Zak Butters is our first topic up for discussion.
So, from what we've heard, Geelong are the favourites according to Mitch Cleary. Mm-hmm. I don't believe anything's changed in the 6 months. I still think Bulldogs are the favourites. They're both probably offering multi-million-dollar year contracts.
Yeah.
The Bulldogs are probably offering more money, and they're obviously selling the dream of coming to play for your childhood club and living closer to your parents in Bacchus Marsh. He has said to Port Adelaide he's moving. Is basically just where. Richmond are technically still a chance, but I'd put it at less than 1%. Given they'd probably have to offer $3 million a year to actually leave.
And that wouldn't give you much hope as a player knowing that you're taking up a majority of the money that the team needs to improve everything else.
Correct, which is a bit wild. As I said, I'm still leaning towards the Bulldogs. It's more so just how a deal gets done. And even when you compare Geelong and the Western Bulldogs probably have a better deal, in all honesty. I think that's something, not necessarily like a big thing, but just something that you look at and you're like, well, yeah, sure, he'd love to play for Geelong, but what are they offering? 3 picks in the 20s? That's not going to be enough for him. So unless they offer genuine good young players, I feel like even the Bulldogs would be willing to offer maybe Riley Sanders, just as a name, who'd sort of make up for a little bit more, where it's 3 firsts in Riley Sanders for Zak Butters and 2 seconds, or whatever it is. Something like
whatever
that.
It needs to be to make it official and to make it work. I'm thinking, is there a scenario where Port Adelaide pulls a Zach Merritt and says, we don't like any of the trades coming in, you're staying at Port?
I mean, there is a world, but they'd be then risking him going to the draft and a team with a pick before them, a la Richmond, taking him before they are in selection.
Yeah, that is true. Look, I think Port Adelaide... I don't want to make it personal, but the fact that this is happening after they did this and got Jason Horne-Francis from a similar scenario, I'm not feeling all too bad. Look, without the personal bias, I think it definitely sucks from a Port Adelaide perspective. But at the same time, this has felt inevitable since, the start of the year when they lost to North.
Yeah, even last year it felt almost inevitable that he'd be leaving.
Well, Josh Carr was out here saying, we'll try our best, but if he doesn't stay, he doesn't stay. Yeah. It's clearly there's the inevitable feeling inside everyone at the club that Zak Butters has already said something about how he's going to leave.
Yeah. It just felt like it was inevitable. Inevitable. But, as I said, I think Bulldogs. Who do you think?
Considering Geelong didn't pull the trigger for Rowan Marshall last year, I think that they're really going to commit to pulling the trigger this time around, especially because of how much they've probably needed someone in a particular role like that. Yeah. With Max Holmes going down as well, maybe they're looking to try and add a bit of depth. A little bit. But I think, I reckon the Dogs will get him. I reckon the Dogs will get him.
Yeah, I agree. Who do we have next? No one?
No one else?
Okay, I'll go through some names that I have off the top of my head. Jake Stringer has announced he's going back to Melbourne.
That's true.
I don't know who goes and wants him. I think it's just Collingwood, to be honest. Like, unless he goes back to, like, the Bulldogs or Essendon, I think it's Collingwood. I just don't see another team who'd have genuine interest in him.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I don't think Hawthorn would want him, really. I don't think they need another sort of smallish forward. I don't think Saints would want him with Liam Ryan and Mitch Owens in that sort of similar role. I don't think North would want him, given they already play tall and they've got Paul Curtis, basically. I don't think Geelong would really want him, to be honest, because I don't think he'd be something that they go after. North Melbourne, as I said, no. Melbourne, no.
You don't think Melbourne?
No, I don't. I don't think that's sort of the culture piece that they want to go for. I feel like they're building differently. So my only thing is...
But a man who can play, like, quick-fire football, like, just spark up in a moment's notice, you don't think that fits a Melbourne game style?
I mean, I'm not saying it wouldn't fit. I'm just saying as the culture piece side of things and the
but
way
then why would Collingwood pick him up?
They're tracking... Well, Collingwood are happy to go for 33-year-olds.
I guess if that's what you're talking about.
So I think the age as well is another thing that plays in for Melbourne. They're leading towards going younger. Whereas Collingwood, they're happy to get these 33-year-olds to try sort of slowly rebuild but still be good. As I said, I don't think someone like Richmond, because I don't think he'd want to go play for Richmond. I feel like he wouldn't be looking at the money side of things. He'd just want to be in Melbourne. So I feel like a team like Collingwood would be very happy to get him on a $500,000 contract sort of thing. A couple others that we'll touch on briefly. Toby Green has basically locked himself into Geelong at this stage. Like the pull of Jeremy Cameron and a farm is beautiful for him.
Jeremy Cameron's been going absolutely nuts to try and get Toby Green over to Geelong.
Yeah, and you can understand why.
Yeah, he would fit very nicely. It also kind of plays into the whole no picking up Jake Stringer type of thing.
Yeah, and could he potentially then lure out a Grind Myers? Like if a club's looking at them, maybe Grind Myers is gettable? I feel like that's something they could ask at.
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like that's a really...
It's a big leap.
That's a big ask.
But that's what trade season is all about, baby.
Yeah.
Ben King, pretty much Hawthorn, guaranteed.
Yeah, well, the way he was talking at the end of the Gold Coast game against St Kilda, he was pretty understanding that this probably is his last game in Gold Coast colours. Very, very professional and cordial about it. Talking about how he loves the club, loves all that they've done for him. But yeah, he sounds like he's going to go back to Victoria and to the Hawks, which would be an interesting scenario considering they already play a lot of tools, makes things like Couch-a-Deer. Honestly, those players are just super movable now. But last one, Lachie Neale.
Yeah.
He seemingly is going to go to Victoria at this rate.
Collingwood are the 95% favourites.
Yes. Who are the 5% favourites?
I feel like Richmond would have thrown $5 million at him.
Oh, mate, if Richmond picked him up, what a nightmare scenario for Richmond, because I don't know whether, like, Lachie Neale is that guy. Zak Butters would be the guy to go for 100%, so I understand why they're going after him so heavy.
Yes.
Even though it would mess up everything else, but
it's pretty close to being Collingwood at this stage, so... They get their 35-year-old midfielder to replace their 37-year-old midfielder.
There you go. Well done. You've saved yourself 2 years, Collingwood. Great stuff. Either way, that is it for Zero Access Footy for the regular season. Of course, more to happen throughout the week. We're going to chat in regards to all the wildcard games that are coming around. But the finalised results of the footy tipping competition... Making It Rainer ends up closing it out with a 1-tip lead. So they ended up getting 6 in the round with a 43-point margin. Footy Pirate in second and Shahaf in third. Yeah. Really good results.
What, $10 to my cousin?
Well done to him, I guess. $20 to Footy Pirate, 50 to Making It Rainer. So, of course, we'll try and get in contact, as well as the fact that if you guys want to as well, get in contact with us and we'll make it happen as soon as possible and get you your prize money. So thank you guys so much to all those who participated this year. It's been a great year to see how everyone does. Definitely did much better than both Bem and myself. So again, congratulations to you guys. But with that all being said, thank you guys for tuning in to this episode. We're going to be back again for some more next week, discussing everything wildcard round. We'll also be able to discuss just whether it was a success or not. But that is it. Be sure to follow us on all our socials. Leave us 5 stars on Spotify. Like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And we will see you all next week and Friday night, maybe even Saturday night, for some more discussion regarding Wildcard. So appreciate you all. We'll see you all very soon. Catch you later.